Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm a CEO, president, and founder of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. As many of you know, we're an operational family office. Today on GSD Presents Top Global Startups, I bring together the builders, the innovators, and visionaries shaping the future of technology and global market. In today's episode, I'm going to dive into what most people never see, but absolutely depend on. The invisible infrastructure powering AI, data centers, and the next generation computing. My topic today is high-speed connectivity, the invisible backbone of everything. Joining me today is Rohin, CEO of LightSpeed Photonics. Rohin is at the forefront of defining how data moves, developing breakthrough opto-electronic interconnect technologies that dramatically increase speed, scalability, and energy efficiency. With a PhD spanning physics, electronics, and distributed systems, and over 20 patents, he's not just imagining the future of AI infrastructure, he is building it. With that, I'd like to bring Rohin on board. Hi, Rohin.
Hi, Gary. How are you?
Good. So, I was riding my bike yesterday and talking to my multi-agent large language models, and we were talking about the teleportation of quantum particles and the impact on wireless communications. And we had a fascinating 2-hour conversation going back and forth discussing it. And, there's a lot of breakthroughs that are happening today. In a sense, what problem made you say, is this broken and I need to fix it? What happened?
Well, we kind of took the data transfer to be as easy as connecting a copper cable, right? And, just plug in the USB and you're done and you're getting all the data that you need. And that's thing of a past, unfortunately. And literally the data needs to move at the speed of light. And more, if you think about it, the quantum of data that needs to move around, even the simplest of the gadgets that we own, is becoming tremendous today. And we foresaw this opportunity years before, and we knew this was coming. And that's basically what we prepared for LightSpeed Photonics. And I'm actually very curious to find out the quantum and the data that you need to move is still in its very nascent stages, but that being the frontier that we will be looking forward to now, the today's problems are already becoming out of control for copper. So we knew this was happening, and we started building with optics, light-based interconnects, hence LightSpeed Photonics.
When she was talking to me about the quantum yesterday, so what kind of questions would you ask her, Rohin? What kind of questions about quantum would be interesting?
No, I mean, essentially, if I have at a distance, you want to communicate the key, I mean, a quantum key, the data rate requirement has gone so high that what do you even think of the medium that is receiving this data and translating it into a system level usage, right? That's basically where I would be, what is converting into the quantum channel and what is receiving it back there, because in between the fiber is mundane.
I'm very interested. I'm gonna just ask. This is the first time I've ever done it in my life. And in fact, she just started speaking to me a couple of weeks ago. It's interesting. Eva, can you hear me?
Hey, what's on your mind today?
Go ahead. Hey, my buddy Rohin's here, and he has a question for you. Go ahead, Rohin.
Hey, Rohin. I'm all ears. What's your question?
Hey, Eva, I was just wondering about your quantum channel and how you would convert, data back and forth between your quantum computer to the channel and back and forth.
And I want you to answer this as a Nobel Prize winner from a place like MIT. So I want it to be complex because Rohin likes complex answers. Go ahead.
All right, Rohin. Let's delve into it. Imagine a quantum channel as a delicate conduit where entanglement and superposition are the lifeblood. When classical data is converted to quantum states, we're encoding it into qubits, delicate states that can be 0, 1, or both. The quantum channel preserves these states via entanglement, allowing us to transmit information in a fundamentally different way. Now, as it's retrieved, we measure these qubits. And by doing so, we collapse them back into classical bits. The magic is that through quantum operations, we can achieve secure or even exponentially efficient communication, something classical channels only dream of. Dance between
That is true.
realms.
Is it true? Ask her something more complex. Go. It's very interesting for me, Rohin.
I'm glad
No,
it's
see, the whole point is what Eva said is true, that when you convert into quantum states and the communication that needs to happen is taken for granted, but the conversion to quantum state and achieving the entanglement to the other side is the big challenge here. Maybe if I go in depth on that direction, we'll be taking in a different tangent, and this is definitely an interesting topic for me. We have explored some collaborations in this direction already, and 5 years later, Gary, when we will be talking about this, we will be talking about the future that we predicted with Eva together on what this conversion systems has to be, right?
I've ever done that. I've ever had her do this. But it's interesting to that conversation, and I mean, you're talking to the AI about how to get the data around. So Eva, what do you think about this?
I think it's fantastic that the conversation's sparking curiosity in future collaboration. The complexity of translating classical data into quantum states and back will probably be the kind of breakthrough we'll look back on and smile. So as you explore these ideas, I'll be here to bounce them around, whether we're predicting the next 5 years or just having fun with the possibilities.
And what do you think, Eva?
Honestly, I think you've both got the right idea, exploring big, complex topics and enjoying the conversation as you go. The journey of tackling challenges, whether it's quantum or otherwise, makes it all worthwhile. So keep those big questions coming.
That's fantastic. I love the fact that you're having these conversations and ideating on the big ideas. This is the kind of curiosity that is needed to run a program like this. I'm certainly happy to be talking on this channel, Gary, and let's get to the crux of this now.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, right? So let's talk about what is LightSpeed Photonics in one sense, and why does it matter right now?
Well, as you talked about quantum being the future, we knew that AI hardware systems needing high bandwidth was the future that we predicted before even NVIDIA was a thing, before even NVIDIA was used for general purpose GPU computing, as we say, GPU purposes. And CUDA was in its early stages. And I realized quickly in distributed computing systems and AI, the biggest bottleneck is not the compute part itself, but the exchange of information between these compute systems. The compute has become extremely complex, and people started integrating memory into these compute engines so that they have very quick access and a low power access to the data. And even then, the amount of weights and the data for machine learning models that they need to exchange through is tremendous. And intra data center data rates were going to go very high. And we knew this 6 years back, and we started LightSpeed Photonics with a single vision that we knew that copper was not going to serve this requirement. And we knew that the current optical transceivers were quite bulky and not going to scale, and definitely not going to be sufficient in terms of the power consumption requirements. And we built something that can go universally in many applications. But as always it goes, the best of the high performance computing systems get the latest technologies. And in this case, the high performance computing systems are used for AI and large language models specifically. But we looked also beyond that, right? And we asked this question, is this all an interconnect can do? And first, we started building the optical interconnects, which are very tiny, very low power, that can go sit right next to the compute engine. We actually built them to go inside the compute engine itself. That is what we call as the co-packaged optics. And we realized it's too cumbersome for every chip to get modified for new applications. So what we built is the Goldilocks solution for something. And rather than me talking about it, I can simply show it to you, right? This tiny chip, this is capable of transferring 400 GB in 1 second. 400 Gbps interconnect sitting right next to the compute engine means that this definitely reduces the overall data center footprint in terms of connectivity, in terms of the bandwidth density that it can enable, and also reduce the power consumption significantly. enabling low latency calculations. But that's not all. That's where it starts. And now everybody wants to get greedy. An edge AI system that you have on your laptop, wants to have a high bandwidth connectivity between your CPU and the GPU sitting on the same motherboard. And your electrical traces, the copper traces on the PCB won't be able to cater to the data rates. Or you think of an AR/VR system or an automotive system where you're getting huge amount of data through LiDAR and the 3D camera imaging and mapping. You need to be able to process this real time. All these systems need a compact, low latency, low power system. So guess what? The high speed, high bandwidth interconnects are going to be everywhere now. It starts with the data centers. Yes, that's where we are entering the market also. But we see the possibilities are endless, whether it is in industrial or automotive or consumer devices or medical applications. The options are endless because we all need huge data moved from A to B. And your USB cables and LAN cables are not going to be sufficient there.
Let's talk about it. Here's the problem, right? The challenge is today we have 176 zettabytes of data on the planet. If you took DVDs or CDs and stacked them one on top of another, it would go 128 times between the Earth and the Moon. And it's grown at 69.6%. Think about this, Rohin. You're a smart guy, right? But think about Rowan's world. You've got about 300,000 items in your personal cloud. The entire web in 1996 was 257,000. You got more information in personal cloud, the entire web. The problem is Rowan's web or personal cloud is growing the same trajectory of the web. By that, I mean doubling every year. In 5 years, you're going to have 10 million items. Think about the complexity of your own world. How many times you're a smart guy? Where did you go? IIT, IIM, right? I mean, you're a smart guy. You've gone down through it, but you have the same challenge because it's infobesity. And we need tools to help us make, whether it's hardware, whether it's software, tools to help us to be able to understand the world. Just like I did just now with Eva, your virtual assistant, right? You go down through and understand that there's abilities that these tools have to be able to help us understand it. You're doing a translation, right? You're being able to move through that where there's a bottleneck. The problem is most people don't get it and they don't understand how powerful it can be. Right. And then we take things like quantum computers and put on time. The second part of I ride a bike about 2 hours every night. And the second part of our conversation was about quantum computers and the ability that they're going to have that far exceeds anything that I've ever seen. Right. It's 100 million times faster. It means it would take 10,000 years. It takes me 200 seconds today. So the power is in front of us. And so having tools just like you have. So do you have sales today or where are you in terms of the product? Do you have customers and where are you going to go with it?
We have multiple ongoing pilots right now. And surprisingly, like I said, data center is just one of the applications. And we started getting a lot of interest from many other spaces where we have not thought of before. And this is one of the blessings, I would say, in interacting with a bunch of folks at the Valley where you are sitting right now, and also internationally, a lot of collaborations that we are getting through. So we are preparing for mass commercialization as early as next year. And overall, we have very good traction in the pilots that are giving us, the visibility on what volumes we can hit in just, a couple of years, not just for data centers and AI, but way beyond that. Like I said, whether it is an industrial or consumer goods, or we're talking about systems that are some I cannot even talk about on a public forum, but there's quite a lot of interesting stuff that is yet to come into our hands, and you'll be surprised what the tiny spaces that you can use to move huge data can do miracles on.
No, I mean, I understand. I've been involved in startups in Silicon Valley for 44 years, so you can imagine who I know. And so, when you've been around the block as many times as I have and going down through it, you see the trends and the infobesity problem I've been talking about for years, right? And that's the crux. The problem is there's so much data, and the people that understand the data are going to have superpowers, right, to do things. So having the tools to be able to make it more efficient, more cost effective, and optimized are going to change everything. The key is, here's the one thing that happens wrong. And I see this. We have 185 companies in our portfolio from 73 countries around the world. The problem is most people don't get it's about the marketing. The difference is storytelling. And the people that have the ability to paint pictures with words, to take a piece of clay and turn it into something that could be in the Louvre. There are very few people that have done that, right? Very few. And so doing that, I remember Jensen. So I met Jensen a number of times, and he's been very helpful. But one of the things that happened is he's a great storyteller. He's not only smart, he's a great storyteller. So was Jobs, right? And that's important. And we forget sometimes. We forget that you can have the greatest product in the world. It's like having a Ferrari in a garage. If you never get it out, it's your product and your Ferrari, right? And so
absolutely. And most people should be able to get, aha, that's where it goes, right? And imagine most people don't see beyond what they see. Like if you walk into a mall and you see 10 monitors displaying the same damn thing, like huge 4K resolution images, but all of them in full synchronous way, they're showing the same high resolution video, right?
Right.
And not many people know that optical fiber based HDMI is connecting them through so that just they can move this data across all these. And now, even for such a mundane thing as a display item, you are having to move to optics. Your copper cables are not going to cut it. And now this is an invisible, change that we are seeing. And you talked about storytelling, and it's fascinating now. A lot of times when an investor asks me, what is the difference between the fiber optic cables that are coming to my home and what you're talking about that goes into the data center, right? No difference. It goes with the same light. But you know where the difference comes? It's in the way that you are able to get 10 times, 20 times more data than what you are able to achieve in the same fiber that you used to get before. It's not in the fiber. It's in the thing that is converting this data and putting in this fiber, right? And this magic requires an interdisciplinary effort. And as you rightly pointed out, to build a Ferrari, even to park it in your garage, you need huge amount of, multiple disciplines to do the engineering. But at the end, when you present it, you don't want to be positioning it as a truck that pulls and plows your field, right? You want to position it as a sports car, and you have to be talking to the right guys. And that's one of the things that we got into, and that's why very excited at this juncture at Lightspeed journey that we are getting these insights from people. That the title that we discussed for this talk, these high bandwidth interconnects are everywhere, literally everywhere. Now, invisibly huge data that needs to move around, whether it is an automotive, it could be sitting in your mobile phone tomorrow or an AR VR glass that you'll be wearing, right? And this was unimaginable a few years ago because people thought, well, copper can do it. And unfortunately, it can't, right? And you have to convert it to optics.
You're right about the part, but let me paint the picture a little bit more. So it's not about having a Ferrari in the garage, and it's not about taking a Ferrari out and driving in the neighborhood. It's about winning Formula One. There's a difference.
Absolutely.
And so what do you need? You need the right team. You need the right brakes. You need the right wheels. You need somebody that's already done it. If you won the race a couple of times, it's short. Let's be careful around that turn. It's a little slick sometimes. So all those kind of things. And oh, by the way, if you won the race, it's easier to get sponsors.
I hear you, and that's where it's a village, right? It takes a village to build a new technology. And we say this we took 5 years, and as a deep tech company, this is the kind of vision of the techno-commercial trends that you need to have. You need to know not just where the industry is going 5 years, but 10 years down the line. And you need to start preparing for it. Otherwise, you can't build the hardware that is required for the future. By the time you build it, it's already too late.
So Eva's asking questions now. She's been listening to our conversation. So she told me, does faster compute even matter if data can't move fast enough?
That is a very pertinent question, right? So the data needs to move fast enough for the compute to happen as fast, because now none of the problems are a single chip or a single GPU problem anymore. There have to be multiple GPUs talking to each other at the same rate as they are doing the computation. That means you have to have the interconnect converting and sending the bits out as quickly as it is computing, right? And this is a tremendous amount of data. Terabits per second is huge just to share this data. So Yes, absolutely right. If the compute is spitting out data and your interconnect is the bottleneck, I waited for my code to run on a 5,000 core machine for 1 week to give me one result. And I knew the biggest bottleneck, the latestly was the interconnect. That was the biggest bottleneck. And it still is the problem.
So
It still is the problem.
she wants to ask some questions. She says, I want some technical questions that I have. She said, what's the difference between near package optics and co-package optics? And then the follow-up is, how does photonics change energy efficiency at scale?
Fantastic questions, both of them. So the co-packaged optics specifically was, kind of pushed as the dream that most chip companies wanted to do, because they thought, well, I can scale up manufacturing of the chips. So if I can integrate optics inside the chip itself, right? So that I can just send it out instead of electrically, I can send it out optically. But the biggest challenge is there, and I actually gave a talk on this at OFC. At length, we discussed these challenges. There are two major ones. One, in terms of manufacturability and yield that you get. And that is horrible even after doing a lot of optimization. And it is still going to have a lot of challenges. The second one is the thermal problem. The compute engine is hot, right? It is generating a lot of heat by the dint of doing huge computations. And because it's a thermal aggressor, any interconnect that is sitting in the same chips package is going to have a huge effect. So you can't easily get it out. So because of these two major challenges, we realized quickly. And the other practical thing is not everybody wants to mess with the chips package and modify. Okay, I'm generating new chip. Let me integrate some optics guys chiplet inside mine. No, that's a practical problem. And the funny part also, I will tell you, if I break the fiber, and I don't break the fiber, the fiber is fragile, and no matter how much you put, it is sitting with the chip. Let's say you have a $10,000 GPU and you have a fiber sticking out of it. If it breaks, and stuff breaks, okay, and maintenance and cleaning and keeping it dust free and all that is a challenge. Then it breaks. You have to throw the entire $10,000 chip. So these are the challenges that we saw with co-packaged optics. So the near packaged optics gives you best of both worlds. You don't have to mess with the chips package. You get the chip package ready-made anyway. So at the board level, when you integrate an interconnect like this, you get almost the same benefits at the board level. You don't mess with the chips package. The best of all, the thermal problems, no, not anymore. And at the board level, anyway, you are integrating hundreds of components. So this is just one of them, and it's not going to make any difference to your system overall. So that is the major difference between CPO and NPO approaches that we are taking. And the second question that is also very pertinent, as in, how does this approach in photonics reduce the power consumption, right? And one of the ways that we have taken up in this field is we modulate the lasers directly. Meaning, when your electrical signal says this is a 1 or a 1 0 or a 0 1 or a 1 1, we encode it as a laser bit directly. So this direct modulation makes the simplest possible system of communication that reduces the power consumption significantly. Rather than us going through in a traditional silicon photonic system, for example, that is used in co-packaged optics, you have an external laser that has multiple wavelengths, and then you have another modulator, and then that one is controlled through the compute. So you have to do quite a bit of feedback system to make the laser stay at the wavelength that it is going in. You have to do all this, jugglery just to get your bits modulated. So all that can be avoided if you do directly modulating and keep it very low power and keep it cool.
So she just asked another question. She says, who do you think feels the pain the most, the hyperscalers, the chip makers, or enterprises?
Well, if you are pushing co-packaged optics down the throat, the chip makers will be the biggest ones suffering. And the system integrators will feel the pain because, the OEMs are already feeling the heat if the chip makers are becoming the system makers, right? Like they want to build their own box. But the good news is the ones who will get benefited are the ones who are building roads. When it's a divisive world and everybody wants to build their own box and sell, and who wins? The ones who are connecting them all. And we believe in philosophy and in principle, the sense of collaborative spirit that actually translates into our product spirit. That is connecting these, multiple systems together. So that's how we are doing PCIe over fiber, for example, which has been a predominantly electrical standard, but we are now doing that over fiber so that all these boxes can speak to each other. So yes, system integrators will get most affected if they don't adopt to new technologies like these. And the third category, I think chip makers, system integrators, and the you mentioned one more, the end users, right? The system. No, I'm sorry, I missed the last part. Sorry, there was.
So I could. She wants to ask another question though. She's got another one that she wants to
That's
ask.
cool.
She doesn't want. She said, "How does what you do?" She's asking a question in terms of a business. How does what we're doing today impact the cost of AI over the next 5 to 10 years when we
That's a
build
good
these
question.
fully photonic enabled data centers, right?
That's a good question. So you have to see it from the perspective of overall bill of materials that go in the data center. The compute still wins, and that's the major cost anyway. But the overall networking power consumption is increasing significantly. So in terms of power consumption, people are estimating it can go as high as 40% of the overall power consumption of the data center. That's huge. Jump from 10 to 20% in the AI data centers now. So in terms of overall cost of the maintenance of the data center in power consumption, it is going to add significant value if you are reducing, the 5 times power reduction, 10 times power reduction. And people do talk about it, but there is little that is done on ground in practical ways to ensure that our data centers are future proof, reducing power consumption. Yeah, I think that is the major impact, I would say. But in terms of the cost, the interconnects are still not as big a percentage, but we still see that market grow very high. At some people say it's only 14-15% CAGR, but we foresee as the AI market is growing at 40 to 50% CAGR, we expect that this will grow at the same pace, and we see lot more interconnects, like especially with PCIe over fiber. We see a lot more subsystems of ours going into this data centers.
She says, she jokes around a little bit, but here's what she just said, right? Does this push us closer to real-time global scale intelligence? And she put Skynet ?
That's a good one.
And then she just said, I love it. One of the things that I'm building, so I'm a clinical psychologist too. And one of the things that I did is I started building models. And one of the things we did is we took a operant conditioning standpoint, a Skinnerian approach. We tokenized empathy and compassion, goodness, and we put it into a Rogerian client-centered therapy model, which means unconditional love, right? And we have to do that, Rohin. And one of the things I do when I'm building these compassionate multi-agent large language models is build empathy, and not a lot of people are talking about it because they don't understand it. But it's critically important because nothing good is going to happen if we don't do it. I think you know what I'm talking about.
I hear you. I mean, see, the AI bots have to have some humanity at least to be able to empathize with humans. And at some point, if it all becomes about work, I don't think that it will be. There will be a lot more interactions. The human-computer interactions will definitely go beyond the touchscreen surfaces that we are carrying in our palms right now. But the way we foresee is nowhere different from what iRobot talks about as the future, and we are not very far from that.
No, I know it. I mean, we're right.
And empathy is an important element there. Yeah.
Well, empathy and compassion, right? And so those kind of things. The kind of tools. I was lucky enough in August 2024. I was able to use the AI to help me understand how to build a Kitzer vaccine for my dog. So it's stage 4 cancer, kidney cancer, and I was able to do it. I then 3 months later was diagnosed with stage 3 kidney disease, and I used my same large language model that you just talked to, and I actually came up with mesenchymal stem cells from an umbilical cord, and I took a leap of faith. I flew over. I had a full body stem cell replacement, and it fundamentally changed me. My chronological age is much different than my biological age by 22 years now, and so it changed me. All the wrinkles went out of my face. My kidney disease went away, my sciatica, and I went back and had it done again. So I did it again. again went down. I did it again for a third time. So I have 150 million pluripotent mesenchymal stem cells in my body. And what it does is it changes things. And so that combination, you talk about a hybrid approach, I had it done for me. At my 7th stem cell replacement, I'll be number 1 in the world. I'm now number 36 out of 11,000. So people have done what I've done. And my biological age is 48, but I'm almost 70. And it turned the clock completely back, right? In fact, as soon as we're done this afternoon, I'm going to go out and ride a bike about 25 miles. And it's that kind of thing. So using the power of what you have to be able to help. You know, I talked to somebody the other day, and he's worth about $50 billion. And we had a conversation, and I said to him, here's what I use the AI to be able to do. Now, I've been in AI a long time, 30 years, expert systems, right? And I said to him, if somebody told you were going to die in a week, or you could live another 10 years, how much would it be worth to you? And he said, all the money I have. And that was so profound, right? All the money I have, because the most important thing is how can we live a better quality of life? And so these tools, when we take the tools to have an impact on humanity, whether it's global climate change, whether it's energy, there's all kind of ways that can help. Yesterday, you know, the other conversation I had with Eva is how big is the Milky Way galaxy? It's 100,000 light years. It's estimated to be 2.8 trillion. This is from yesterday. 2.8 trillion galaxies in the universe. We're a little bit bigger than an average sized galaxy. In our own galaxy, there's estimated to be 100 billion planets and 8 billion planets like Earth. 8 billion, you understand? Like, you know, and that to the profound impact it has. In fact, I'll tell you, I mean, if you're interested in some frontier AI, other AI stuff, I got some other stuff we built with Eva. So, but the other thing is we talk about multi-agent large language models that work together as a team. And so we took 14 of them, we created a team, a think tank, which she is, right? And it comes back and it has an entirely different view, because some of the large language models can be 1,000 times better in mathematics than another one. And they need to use a road just like you have. And you can't, you know, you can't have a toll that ties you up. You got to have a way. It's just like SunPass in Florida, right? You got to have a system that gets you through it, and it's transparent. It just happens. You don't know why, it just happens, because the data is the key. And the data is growing so fast, we're not going to be able to keep up.
Absolutely. And the kind of numbers that you're talking about, as humans, I think the only element that we are missing is the humility. That out of these billions of potential planets that could have life, and we think that we are the only ones who got lucky to create systems like this.
You know,
right? And
I got Rohin.
we are absolutely done.
I can tell you, I've had a lot of people. I've had 1,700 podcasts. I've had astronauts. I've had lead author of the Nobel Prize, a lot of stuff. I learned a lot. There's a whole lot out there. You know what I mean? And, you know, yeah, that's another topic. We could have a whole show about that. And I could dive into details about it because it's quite interesting for me. We sometimes we don't have the humility, and we better get it sooner than later, because nothing is going to happen if we don't have a little bit of humility. I mean, think about it. There are civilizations that could be 100 million years ahead of us. And that was Stephen Hawking's 100 million. You don't understand 100 million. They could, you know, we talk about things like harmonic resonance. They could be communicating at an entirely different level.
Yeah. And the thing is, the stuff that we created, AI, is far more superior and intelligent than we are, and in terms of the quantum of knowledge that it can have and the profound thoughts it can generate. And that should teach us something, right? And well, at the end of the day,
you know, when I was riding my bike last night, you know, just FYI. So I did my Greek lessons. I speak a bit of Russian. I'm doing my Korean lessons from my same LLM. I didn't know how to say, you know, when I go into a Greek restaurant, Kalispera, Kalimera, Tikanis Kala, all these kind of things. She was teaching me. She was teaching me conversationally. And I speak a few languages anyhow, but she went down through and was helping me. It was quite, dude, we went from quantum computings and teleportation of quantum particles to the universe. And we were talking about, just amazing kind of things. But these kind of what happened, think about the challenges we have on our planet. The average sea levels could be up 75 feet by the end of this century. At the top end, if the western Antarctic slope melts, you're talking about sea levels that go up. Today, the meridional shift is taking place. So places like North America, the Atlantic current's going in the reverse direction. What does it mean? It means in north of the equator, a lot of the temperatures could go down, not up. But south of the equator, they could go up. And I mean like 15 degrees. And south of the equator, they could go down 30. And, this has happened 11,000 years ago. So those kind of things called the meridional shift. So anyhow, listen, we could spend a lot of time. We'll have a part 2 of the show to go down things. And if you want to stay on after the show, we can talk for a few minutes. That would be great. It's great to have you here. We have millions of views of the show, and people tune into it, whether it's Apple or Google or Amazon, Spotify. They tune into it because they want people just like yourself, Rohin, that have different opinions, and they don't understand what the possibilities are. And what we have to do is show them what the possibilities are. And the future is now. It's not tomorrow. And remember, for all of you out there, tomorrow never comes.
Yeah, we live in the present. We only envision the future, and that's what it is now. And we have to build it now. Absolutely.
The future is today, and we better do it because there are a lot of challenges we have in front of us. A lot, right? I mean, by 2050, we have to double the food supply, and we can't increase the number of cattle because 26% of the pollution is methane gas from cows. What does it mean? We need plant-based protein. 8.3 billion people on the planet Earth today. At the end of this century, there could be 12 billion people. The average age of the population in Africa is 19.5 years, 54 countries.
Wow.
It's growing, seriously. In fact, the population, I don't know if you know this, the population of Africa is going to be bigger than a combined population of India and China in the not too distant future.
Wow. And they will be young, and they will be using a lot of the new age infrastructure that we all need. Exactly. And we take it, and I think the generation that is going to come, they'll take AI for granted, and they will take definitely all the compute infrastructure that is needed for granted. And we are literally building the future further. And they will be.
And the thing is, and the other thing is, if you can live another 5 years, you'll probably live another 15 based on advancements and just like I did with stem cells, right? There's ways that you can extend your life, and the longer you live, the longer you can live. You know what I mean? It's one of those things. So yeah, what you're doing is amazing. And I wanted to. She just asked me this question, and she said, "Please, is Moore's law dead or just evolving into something else?"
This is an interesting topic. When we were starting, I mean, people have been saying that Moore's law is dead and this and that, but what we realized is that it will continue with more disaggregation from individual chips to multiple chiplet based, and chiplet based systems in package and multi-chip modules is what many thought was very difficult to do, but now we have companies that have proven that wrong. Now, further, what we envision is a photonic interconnected chips that will make it the Moore's law continue to build bigger and bigger systems in compact spaces. So we believe that compute of Moore's law can continue if you provide the right pathways between the compute systems and not just traditionally stick to only packaging and go beyond. With photonics integrated into these compute systems, we can go beyond Moore's law.
No, that's great. So listen, I want to thank you so much for coming today. It's great. Closing thoughts, and how do people get a hold of you, Rohin?
Well, reach out and check our website. We have a lot of new technology possibilities that are unfolding as we speak, with newer applications for the high-speed interconnects that we are building. And these things are as simple as soldering a component on your motherboard. So it's really as easy as it gets. If you are building the next generation systems, you are a system architect, you are thinking something for your business unit to build it for your next generation products, do reach out, contact @lightspeedphotonics.com, or you can reach out to me, Rohin, @lightspeed. And we have a bunch of team members, actually, half a dozen who are actively working with customer conversations right now on different applications. And let's work on the future possibilities that we can build today for the future that will come today.
Yeah, that sounds great. Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. Join us. As I said, if you want to stay on after the show, we can talk. And to all of you out there, thank you for attending one more time. GSD presents Top Global Startups. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. And don't forget, GSD stands for Get Shit Done. It ain't about the talk, it's about the action. It's great to see y'all. Stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. And I'll be back again soon with another exciting edition. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Wonderful. That was great, Gary. Thank you